finally I went to another walk-in emergency centre, and they were brilliant. That was in Wickham actually, and they took x-rays anyway. They found the fracture, back to hospital. So eventually I was transferred to I was literally told, sorry, let's go backtrack. When the surgeon came to me, he said, you're not going to go. And he went, you had a CT scan? I went, yes. He said, have you seen oncology? And I thought, no. And then, of course, my mind thinking, what? And he said, somebody will be along to see you soon. You've got a lesion on your kidney, and it's malignant. And I went, how do you know it's malignant? He said, well, I can tell. Very matter of fact, and I was completely on my own, and it was quite a bit of shell shock, wow. And I was sent up onto the hospital ward, and I was in hospital for 3 days just waiting to have a PET scan, which wasn't even going to happen there. So eventually, one very nice doctor came and said, no, I'm going to get you out of here. You've had some devastating news. You should be home with your family and loved ones. You don't need to be here. We're not going to do anything. So she got me home. And we needed a partner who had been away. He came in, and that's the first time I felt I got emotional. So I'm going to have to tell John when he gets here. I had a few tears, and then, I've got a really good sense of humour, and the oncologist had been around to see me. He was going to show me the scan on my kidney, and he couldn't find a computer, and he said, I'll draw it for you. And he drew this kidney with like a cloud on the top, and I said, can I take a picture, because my family are going to want to know, you're going to ask loads of questions. So I took a picture, and I looked at him, and I went, I'm sorry, but that looks like a penis.
Terry, I think on that note, I've got to go to the break. But your story reminds us that not everyone finds out from the hospital, from the doctors, in the best possible of ways. In fact, and we might come back to that after the break. You're listening to David Lammy here on LBC. The time now is 10:32, and it's time for the news with Jenny Barnsby.
The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has accused Vladimir Putin of creating a propaganda smokescreen by blaming Ukraine for Friday's terror attack near Moscow. The so-called Islamic State group has taken responsibility for the mass shooting, which killed 133 people and injured many more. The armed wing of Hamas is blaming a lack of food and medicine for the death of a 34-year-old Israeli hostage. This comes as the UN Secretary-General has called for aid to flood into Gaza, saying it's either surge or starve. And candidates who want to be the next Prime Minister of Ireland have until 1 p.m. to express their interest. The Minister for Further and Higher Education, Simon Harris, is the only contender so far. LBC weather, a largely dry day for most of us with some sunny spells, staying breezy with a high of 12 degrees.
This is LBC.
Has more than quadrupled since the project began.
I wish you'd ever get a chance of spotting one.
Absolutely. Good. That's marvellous. I'll see you tomorrow then.
Are you on?
I'm afraid so.
Well, thanks again, Oliver, for letting me join the class.
Well, it's a good thing I did. You're clearly the star pupil.
Oh, he does say the most silly things.
Now, may I take a peek at your Helleborus, Robert?
Not just yet.
Whether not. I keep telling you, no one's making any judgments.
I know, but
Let me see.
fine. It's pretty awful, man.
I'm sure it's better than you think.
Well?
It's a valiant effort.
See, I told you.
No, it's not awful. It's a first attempt.
Well, there won't be a second.
Oh, now, Robert.
I mean it, Lindy. Painting may be your bag, but I'll have to find another person.
So do you reckon Robert's home now? Well, he might be. The class is set here, huh? Okay, great. Hang on, George. Did you get in touch with Finn Hazeldine then?
No, he's moved on.
I was going to say. Still, well done for tracking down the solicitor.
I did speak to his daughter, though.
His daughter?
Kimberly. And you won't believe what else.
Oh, probably not.
Bartleby was her pony. Her dad got him for her 10th birthday, June 3rd, 1991. That's like 33 years ago.
Right. But that's not an enormous age for a pony.
But that's the thing, Oliver. He's definitely older than that. She remembers this story about how he was stolen from his previous owner. And he got rescued from a gang of horse thieves.
Horse thieves? I'm intrigued.
That's what I need to tell Robert. We have to find out when Bartleby was nicked.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm sure Robert will be very pleased to see you. I have a feeling this day may need something to brighten it up.
You mean Lillian actually kicked him out of the Dower House?
Well, that's not how Justin explained
No,
it.
but it wasn't. Well done, Lillian. It's more than I ever managed.
No, but you did get the great Twisted Tower.
That's true. Oh, poor you, though, having to put up with Justin living with you. Does he still spend an inordinate amount of time in the bathroom?
Well, that's putting it mildly. Lillian told me it's something to do with his hair.
Very possibly. Most things about Justin are a careful construction. It takes a lot of work to maintain the facade.
That sounds cryptic.
Oh, you noticed?
Oh, go on. Tell me more.
No, I shouldn't. He loathes anyone knowing. Oh, Brian.
Well, what do you care how he feels?
Well, yeah, all right. The thing is, when I first met Justin, he barely had 2 pennies to rub together. Black Monday had pretty much wiped him out. Not that I knew that at the time.
You didn't?
Well, as I say, he's very good at mental.
Scent of sellers sold for more. Motorway. Validated against 2 independent sources. Visit motorway.co.uk/claims.
Ready to...
My family made money in shipping.
Oh, no idea.
Of course you didn't. Justin wants you to think he's a self-made man, a colossus bestriding the business world.
Oh.
Honestly, some of the other things I could tell... No, that really would be contravening the terms of our divorce settlement. It's why I fought him so hard. I only wanted what I was due.
Well, I can certainly see why he doesn't like people knowing. He'll be lording it up at the BL ball at Grey Gables on Friday.
Will he now? What? What?
Nothing. Just imagine if I brought you as my partner.
I can change my plans.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
I'm perfectly serious. I'd love to see his face.
No, it's a ridiculous idea. Too much good food and drink has addled our brains.
If you say so. Oh, I suppose we should give the poor waiting staff a break with the only diners left.
Are we? Yes. Well, look, we'd better go.
Although, if you wanted to continue this at my place, it's not that long a taxi ride.
At your place?
I'd say come back for coffee, but we've already had that.
Oh, I see. Well, that's certainly very tempting, but I think I should probably head. This plane will be back soon. She'll wonder where I am.
Of course.
You don't mind, do you?
Not at all. I've already enjoyed myself immensely. Another time.
Trouble is, ground's not been drying out. I'd started for planting too soon, the seed slots would have shrunk and opened up again.
Oh, I trust your judgment, Stella. I'm just impressed you got hold of enough seed, considering everyone's in the same boat.
Well, I'm not just replanting the spring barley, I'm undersowing some of it with microclover too. Over the next few years it'll improve the health of the soil.
Very good.
I mean, it's not just that we lost 30% of the winter wheat because of the wet weather. It's the erosion and the loss of organic matter.
I know, and it's going to get worse with more wet and warmer winters, which brings me to why I'm here.
Oh?
I attended a symposium about sustainability a couple of weeks ago. It was in connection with Damara's stake in the EV charging station. But I heard one particular presentation. Can accountancy change the world?
Can it?
They talked about the importance of hardwiring environmental responsibility into every aspect of a business, including having someone to assess the environmental impact of all the decisions that are made.
Right.
And they suggested that someone should be at board level so they could really hold people's feet to the fire.
All right. What's this got to do with me?
Well, I think we ought to have such a person at BL, a non-executive director for nature, who would be there to advise the board.
I see.
I'd like that person to be you.
Me? Sorry?
There's no need to look so surprised. You're...
Space. This is our family space. So we took the girls to the local park. We live in Wimbledon, so Wimbledon Park, and a bit of the park that I actually absolutely hate. So we wouldn't have to visit it that often. And we sat the girls down, and I have identical twins, and they are completely different when it comes down to personality. It's quite extraordinary. One of them we sat on the bench and we explained to them, you know, Mummy has found a lump, Mummy is going to get better. They were both really quiet. One of mine, she sat on a little grass mound and made a daisy chain for me and was very quiet. And the other one howled. She sat there and howled. Because her only point of reference was her godmother, my sister-in-law, who had died at the age of 42 from breast cancer and left obviously her 3 cousins, the youngest of which was 6 at the time. So that was very difficult to tell them, but I think we did it in the right way. We protected our space at home. But then what was interesting about it is that what I felt really bad for them is that had they been at school like a normal year, they wouldn't have seen me coming backwards and forwards from chemo and, you know, feeling really ill and feeling, you know, very hopeless at sometimes. They had to live through all of that, so that was very difficult. But my girls go to an incredible school, and they had counsellors, and they literally put their arms around my family and took really good care of them. But even to this day, they're 14 years old, and I have been told by various counsellors, when they dip in and out kind of thing, they have that facility at their school, that they're still worried that I'm going to die. And I'm going to my 4th year of remission, which is brilliant. So that was, you know, that was really hard on them. And I think you have to be honest with children, because also when they're about 10 years old, they understand. They know what's going on. And I did look absolutely horrific. Having said that, I was also advised by, unfortunately, one of my best friends who'd just been through it, you have to tell everybody. So I have a pretty healthy sense of humour, and I put together an email that I sent out to, you know, mums in my year at school and various friends, and I called it my lockdown story. So people wrote back and said, we're here to help, and I think that's something, anybody going through this at the moment, I found that people felt quite awkward. They want to help you, but they don't know what to do. So give them something practical to do. So when I was going through the surgery, and I was very, very ill, I ended up with a superbug, I wasn't healing. One of my friends actually organised it was like a meal rota, so every evening somebody from school would turn up with, you know, an amazing meal for my kids. I mean, they got, you know, for the family and the rest of it. So all I had to do was focus on resting and getting better.
That's nice. And, my church does that for...
Yeah, and I think that's real community. Yeah. But the thing that I found interesting was that from the point that I got diagnosed, 3 other mothers in our year got diagnosed with breast cancer over the last few years. And what I found out quietly from the girls was that when their children had been told, and they would have been 11 and 12, my girls were sort of acting almost like confidants for them and giving them support quietly. So with all the awful stuff that happened, I think my children became more resilient and a lot more compassionate. And I think they're great, but I just think children are quite extraordinary, and you have to tell them, and you have to tell everybody else.
Lots of wonderful advice there for people listening. I'm sure many listeners will be so grateful. Thank you so much for calling in, and best of luck to you. Serena in Crystal Palace. Serena.
Hi. I am going to concur with a lot that your previous caller said. I was diagnosed several years ago actually. I went through I'm going for a different approach to my treatment, but a lot of what the previous caller said, I agree with. At the time I was diagnosed, my daughter was 4, my son was 9, and I come from a Caribbean background, and my experience, I guess it was experience, but my experiences, we tend to not discuss certain deep issues. So when it comes to illness, if you're feeling, you know, it's something...
I'm certainly familiar with that, Serena.
So I had no idea about cancer, I'm going to be very honest. As far as I was concerned, no one in my family went through it. You know, it wasn't something that would ever I'd ever be concerned with. So when I found the lump and I went to the hospital, I pretty much just went through the motions, just said, okay, let's just go through the motions, that's what I've been told to do, I'll do it. They called me in, and I was with my 9-year-old son at the time. We went in, and I should have really guessed by seeing the sea of specialists in front of me, but I didn't. I was completely just alien to anything serious like this. And they just simply said, look, you've got stage 3 cancer. It's a progressive form of cancer. And at that point, I was like, oh, I think you better get my son out of here. So probably not the best way to, inform my children. But in a way, it was a blessing because it sparked me to really think about, okay, now's the time I've got to actually advise my children what I'm going through. It took me a little while, I must admit. I had to get my head around it at first, but I did. I was at church and I sat my children down. I said, look, it's very age-appropriate language. I just said, look, Mummy, I'm not well. I've been to hospital and they said I'm quite sick, but I'm going to go through my own form of treatment, a little bit of a holistic and conventional treatment, but Mummy's going to be fine. And this is 7 years now, and I'm doing fine. I still have cancer, I'm still going through my cancer journey, but throughout the process, it's just been amazing, the open conversation I'm able to have with my children. And
God bless you. Keep going. Listen, it's David Lammy here on LBC. Time now is 10:46.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Coming up next week, it's a numbers game. Has Rishi Sunak made any progress on his 5 pledges?
Halve inflation, grow the economy, reduce debt, cut waiting lists, and stop the votes.
The Prime Minister appears before a panel of MPs for a grilling on his political record. And might this man's number be up?
It's a very big day for liberty, and I think it's just a great day for this country.
Former President Donald Trump is back in court over his hush money trial. Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Back tomorrow morning from 7.
With EDF, helping to cut carbon and cost for everyone.
LBC.
Keeping your home energy efficient is great for the environment and can help save you money too. There are lots of changes that can make a big difference. Just ask architect and home expert George Clark.
For most of my career, a boiler has been pretty much the heart of any house. Keeping it warm, providing hot water, all the essential stuff relies entirely on that one old machine. But now, I'm seeing that change. Upgrading to a heat pump is a really smart move for any homeowner. They're generally 3 times as efficient as a traditional boiler and can reduce your carbon emissions by up to 70%. Plus, they can last up to 20 years. It's the change I recommend most people make to enjoy a warm, energy-efficient home.
Upgrade your boiler to a heat pump today with a £7,500 government grant. Welcome to a smarter, warmer, energy-efficient home. Find out more today at gov.uk/energy-efficient home.
New all-electric Lexus RZ.
That's just my opinion, though. Oh, you've got time to work it out, haven't you?
And I will do.
Good. There's certainly no reason for us to fall out of it. Especially with the ball coming up on Friday at Grey Gables. Will you be there?
Oh, I don't know. Big social events aren't really my thing these days.
Because well, why don't you bring someone? Maybe Alice will come with you, or Kate.
No, I don't think so.
Well, somebody you could invite. Oh, honestly, Brian, it's going to be a fabulous evening. I mustn't see it home, would you?
So much for the new light-hearted Brian. I didn't last long, did it?
I did say enjoy it while you can.
Oh, but I hate getting stuck in between him and Justin. Aren't testosterone levels supposed to drop as men get older? Yeah, the worst part is, being BL's non-executive director for Nature sounds great.
You'll talk Brian round.
Maybe.
Now, what are you doing for the bank holiday?
No idea. Oh, you got plans?
Well, Rosie wants to go to Lower Loxley. Elizabeth's